Welcome to the Best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas, a weekly segment dedicated to putting the focus on the amazing things and the amazing people behind them in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is sponsored by and content is provided by St. Barnabas. The show airs every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 on WBBP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. Now, with no further ado, let's welcome host Mike Romigh to introduce today's program.
Good morning and welcome to the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. The St. Barnabas Health System has grown to become a visionary leader of compassionate and quality care in the healthcare industry. In 1900, St. Barnabas was established as a charitable nursing home. It now consists of 3 campuses located in Allegheny, Beaver, and Butler counties, providing care to over 11,000 inpatients and residents each year. Approximately 35,000 outpatient and home care visits take place annually. Additionally, the St. Barnabas Medical Center offers the following health services to the community and our residents: a full dentistry, home health and home care, hospice care, and palliative care. The St. Barnabas Health System continues to be focused on the needs of our community and our residents now and in the future. Building upon its heritage, St. Barnabas continues to reach out to those in need. St. Barnabas lives out its mission through individual and institutional services which help the health, education, and social needs of others. Men and women are invited to join St. Barnabas in the work of continuing Christian caring, healing, and teaching, as we, along with St. Barnabas, bear witness to its founder's reminder, God is able. We look forward to having insightful conversations benefiting you and your family's well-being. Each week, we will bring you topics of interest to enlighten, entertain, and educate you, as we will introduce you to successful people whom are having a positive impact in the greater Pittsburgh communities. As we move forward into the summer, maybe our do-it-yourself projects have started. We see road construction projects. Those are definitely underway. And maybe we're simply planning that long-awaited vacation to gather with family and friends. Our guest this morning will talk to us about the best approach to completing these activities in the safest way possible. Please join me in welcoming Pennsylvania State Trooper Matt Hosie. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Mike.
Thank you for coming on the program with us today.
Absolutely, great to be here.
Good to see you. We don't always get a chance to talk with the trooper, and it'll be interesting to have our conversation. Now, we wouldn't know that you were a trooper, our audience at home watching this, because you don't have your hat on.
Right,
Most of the times when we think of a state trooper, we think of the uniform and the hat.
The big hat.
Yeah.
No, I understand. That's the image, and that's what we try to portray as often. I'm going to be in business casual today for this interview.
Well, very good. But if we see you along the highway somewhere, that's what you'll be wearing.
Yes, sir.
You'll be wearing a hat, the official. Is this something like, because when we're young, we have thoughts, dreams, inspirations about what we want to do with our lives when we get old enough to do it, go to college, and then, whether we're a race car driver or a firefighter or even a police officer. When kids are young, they see you in your official capacity, others in their official capacity, and they think, that's what I want to do when I grow up. Is that something that you thought?
Yes, sir. Yeah. This happens at, you see it from when you're very young to going forward. I hope that it continues, the desire to be a law enforcement officer. It started for me relatively young. Kind of got into a lot of interest in violent crime and stuff, and from there I went forward, trying to help the world.
You were interested in violent crime, is that what you said?
Well, stopping people from doing so,
yeah. Okay. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Ross Township, just a North Hills graduate. Been born and raised there.
North Hills, that's not quite the north side. North Hills, relatively calm area. Not a lot of crime, was there, when you were growing up?
No, Ross Township, no, not a lot. Pretty quiet.
Okay. All right. And so as you grew older, did you pay a particular interest, or were you more interested in television shows like Law and Order or some police shows out there that you fashioned yourself after?
I don't think I've seen any of them.
No?
I haven't seen any of those shows, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So was there anybody in your family, anybody in your community that you looked at, as a mentor?
No,
No.
I don't have a lot of those stories. I know it's common in my line of work, father or grandfather or some sort of connection to it. I actually don't have any law enforcement connection.
So no law enforcement in the family.
No, sir.
When you decided to go to the academy and do whatever you had to do to become a state trooper, did your family try and talk you out of it?
No, of course
No.
not. No. It's an admirable position. I think I got support from everywhere, all corners.
Yeah. It can be a dangerous job out there.
Sure. You are what you make it sometimes. Of course, it's going to be dangerous, but with that comes, some honor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So from the North Hills, you went into the state police, and you have been the barracks that you were a part of was out here in Brighton Township, right?
Correct.
For a long time. Till you
Correct.
moved out of there. They moved the
Right
office.
down the road, but yeah, still Brighton Township, yep.
Mm-hmm. Right off of the 376.
Correct.
That was convenient for the type of work that the state police do around here.
Yes, and you'll see that more often than not. Barracks are close to major veins, interstates.
Mm-hmm. And what is the role of the state troopers in our communities?
So state police are like any other police in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
We do cover some townships solely and completely. We're their police, but we also do have some other functions. We have a lot of branches, I think is the big difference. We have some departments that do other things in other jurisdictions too. So we do have some sort of umbrella-like to that, but we're still a local police in certain townships.
Local police, and you were telling me before we went on the air, Green Township and Hanover Township?
That's two, yes, sir.
Yeah. Back in the day, going back several years, when townships, communities decided they could no longer afford a local police department because of the tax base that was dwindling during those early years, they disbanded the local police and brought in the state police. How does that work?
As simple as that, kind of. So in the case where a 911 call happens, the 911 dispatch center is going to check to see if they have local police. If not, X in that box, and it goes to the state police. We're on 24/7. So, in a vacuum, that's kind of how it does work. It's up to the township at that point, and then we cover if they're not on.
And a state trooper, as far as where your position is concerned, do you just hang out on the side of the road in your vehicle and watch traffic until something happens?
No, sir. It's like in Green and Hanover. We do patrol as normal as any other would.
Okay.
Interstates are busy though, so we will sit sometimes just to, awareness, make sure we're out there. Speed is a big deal when it comes to crashes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but other than that, you've got to make so many passes through Hanover and Green and some of the other local communities that is your jurisdiction, just to be visible so that people know that there are police in the area.
Absolutely. Yeah. Make passes through, just be visible. Stop, talk to people, business owners, check in, get coffee, local things like that.
How are the police and the state police? How does it differ? I had another question in mind, but I just thought state police and local police. Who has jurisdiction? How do you differ in responsibilities from the local to the state?
They have to request it. So in the case where if they choose to not handle a certain case, it's entirely up to that jurisdiction. So if a township a borough has a police department, that's their show. Unless the state police is requested.
Do the actions of the state police and the laws, do the state police supersede the local level? In the sense that if something's going on and it's not being handled or it's viewed as not being handled well by the local jurisdiction, does the state police then come in and take over?
They could. Again, it has to be by request. So I don't know the ins and outs. I don't want to speak on behalf of, our management or hierarchy, but yeah, it needs to be vetted first through locally.
Okay. And so if there is a homicide or a drug bust in some of our communities, the state police will not be involved in that until they're called in?
Yeah, I guess in a short answer, yeah. They have to be it has to be in either our jurisdiction or by another department of ours, which we do in some other jurisdictions too. Technically, the whole Commonwealth is ours. We could operate anywhere. Certain departments can do that, but as far as receiving a call or a drug bust, like you're saying, it has to go through the local first.
Okay. All right. And as far as the capabilities of the state police concerned, even in those instances, whether it's a homicide or a drug bust, the equipment that the state police have, the access to investigation techniques, whether it's doing testing or whatever, is the state police, do you have greater access, greater means, better equipment to do those, to carry out those kind of programs?
Depending on it, yes. It's the state. We have a little bit more resources that tend to be. Now, other departments have plenty. They do a great job with it. But we do have some things. I'll go to aviation. Seems like the one that local departments will use the most. We do have a couple helicopters that are able to get out, whereas some townships don't have that, or boroughs.
Yeah. We were talking with State Police Trooper Matt Hosie, and as we were talking about the state police being a part of the local communities because they don't have the local police department, I'm thinking that, there are probably pros and cons to that. One of the cons would be the accessibility to the local community, to know your community as the local police would, in terms of arrest powers, or just having a finger on the pulse of the public in the local community. They see you, you see them. As a state trooper, you're coming in and may not have that same access. But if you're dealing with homicides or drug cases or any cases, maybe a negative would be that the locals are too close to the community, to the individual, somebody who may be charged or investigated, and for that matter, they would pass that on to the state police so that there's no conflict of interest?
That could be a possibility. I don't know of any circumstances where that would have happened. It could be maybe a misnomer that we don't have the pulse of our townships. We do actually take it quite seriously getting out to these townships, and we understand it might be far in some cases because we only have one barracks per county, but it is definitely a talking point for us and each of our patrol members to try to get the pulse of our townships that we cover directly.
Okay. And some of the issues that you would face on a day-to-day basis is cell phone driver distraction a big part of everyday patrolling?
Sure. Across the board, yes, that is one of the driving factors in crashes. It's just part of distracted driving. It makes sense. You're not paying attention to the road, then crashes occur.
PennDOT construction season is upon us. Okay. The red cones, my wife calls them the wall of death, the barriers that go between the roads. You have to really pay attention. Plus, you've got those construction workers out there, sometimes in the middle of the night. I was relaying to you a story that I read this morning out of McKeesport, where a construction worker, PennDOT worker, was hit and was seriously injured on the road. We hate to see that, and there are also public service announcements that are out there for it. But do you find that most of the time when something like that happens, an accident on a job site where a construction worker is hit, that it's because of distracted driving, or people just impatient when they're on the road and they're in the way and I'm not slowing down?
I think it could definitely be a little bit of both. I would say distracted driving more often than not. Maybe it can be like an oversaturation of just, I have to change everything that's going on right now, and maybe there's cars to your left or right, traffic, speed. It would be really difficult to nail it down one thing, but distracted driving has a wide scope. It usually lands in that.
And even the idea that fines are doubled or tripled in construction areas don't slow people down or make them any more attentive.
I think it might, but not to the degree that we would want it, I'm sure.
Okay. We're going to find out more about state troopers, the state police troopers, and Trooper Matt Hosie is our guest this morning on the program, and we'll continue our conversation and perhaps answer some more of those questions you may have about the state troopers. On the St. Barnabas radio program, this is the best of Beaver County. Employees working within the St. Barnabas health system are apart from the ordinary in their work and the population they serve. Of the many things that make St. Barnabas Health System apart from the ordinary is an appreciation for their employees, an act that does not go unnoticed. Let's learn more about what this means from one of the employees.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Sandor, and I'm a nurse practitioner at St. Barnabas Health System. I'm blessed to be an employee of St. Barnabas. As a nurse practitioner, I strive to maintain optimal health of residents and staff here at the facility.
Find out about the exceptional career opportunities St. Barnabas has to offer by visiting stbarnabashealthsystem.com/careers for more information or by calling 724-444-JOBS. That's 724-444-5627. Find out why St. Barnabas is apart from the ordinary. You're listening to the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. I'm Mike Romigh. Our guest is Pennsylvania State Trooper Matt Hosie, and we're talking about some of the laws pertaining to the state police and what you need to know about the state police and how they can improve your life in your community. One of the issues that the state police get involved with, and Matt, you yourself have the information on this, is scams. This time of the year, it seems as though they're rampant, whether it's home improvement contractors out there, maybe doing it, you're putting in money for asphalt on your driveway, or somebody's trying to scam you on a vacation deal. How prevalent are scams in our communities now?
Very, very, very prevalent. Media works hard to make this known. We might try to work hard to make this known. Of course, it can't be stopped, it seems. People can be taken advantage of over the phone. It's as easy as that. There's a lot of intricacies to it, but it's not surprising to me that it's going up.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the red flags to look for?
Pressure tactics over the phone. This is over the phone for the most part. Things need to happen now. Things need to happen quickly, or this will happen to you or a family member, something like that. Mm-hmm. Very general way to say it there, but that's typically the 3 points that are pressured on these recipients of these scam calls.
Mm-hmm. Is it, we watch it, we see it on the news, and somebody got scammed for this much money or something, and we say, well, why were you so stupid? Don't you know? But it's not always that case. Sometimes it's the elderly. Sometimes it's people who just, as you said, they feel threatened by the person on the other end of the phone.
If you're a grandmother and you're being told by someone who seems very confident that your grandson needs $10,000 to get out of jail now, and you do not have another choice, to certain people at certain times it can be compelling. Mm-hmm. And that happens often. It's a very similar pace, similar explanation every time over the phone, so it's kind of easy for us to tell you what will happen, and it's almost always a scam whenever it's, we need this much money this quickly. It's just not how life typically works.
Mm-hmm. And who does this sort of thing? Who are these scammers?
That's a great question. That's hard to answer. I don't think we have an answer on the type of person or who it does.
Yeah. Are a lot of the cases done outside of the communities? These people are in some other area, other state, perhaps?
Yeah, you can find it actually kind of big on YouTube, where people are able to find across over the seas call centers that do this very generally, worldwide. I don't know if it's happening here in Beaver County from overseas, but it's typically somebody is local, because in some cases people will come to your door at the end of these telephone calls looking for their $3,000, their $10, $500 Rite Aid gift cards or something, where they'll take it by hand or cash by hand.
Yeah. Talk about that gift card thing, because that's going on quite a bit, not only for individual households, but in businesses as well.
Yeah, it's if there's someone pretending to be an authority and they're asking for cash for gift cards, I can say it 100%. That's just not how it's going to work. Authorities aren't going to ask for bail money or any other kind of money through gift cards. It's just not going to work that way. But that's how they get the little the identification numbers on the back. So you don't have to do hand-to-hand. You can be somewhere else over the phone, get the little number, type it in your computer, and then you get the cash.
So you go out, they tell you, I need this. Can you go out an organization I work with, they use the executive director's name and email,
Yep.
and they would contact different people in the organization, and it would be like it was from her. It would say, hey, if you're not busy this morning, can you go to Target or someplace and pick up these gift cards and then send me the numbers on them?
Sure. And these scammers will act legitimate like that, where some people don't understand that a lot of this information that they were hearing on the phone is able to be attained on the internet somehow, Facebook, anything. So they hear these certain points, how do they know my grandson's name? How do they know that individual's name? How did they get this email? It looks real. How they know Target was right down the road? You can do that all over the phone. Some people will think that's legitimate because the scammer knows all that information, whereas it's actually not difficult to get.
How diligent do you have to be? A phone call, what are they going to say? What are they going to sound like on the phone? If it's in an email or online somewhere, how are you going to be able to verify that this is real or this is a scam?
And that's an understandable question, and to be honest, these scammers are pretty good at this. They're able to sound legitimate. It's sales 101, it's pressure. A lot of times for the gift card situation, they'll won't let you hang up. You'll have to hold the phone, mute it as you drive to these Target or whatever it may be. It's all pressure to keep that individual stuck, that they cannot make their decision without doing this.
And once they hook you, they know it and they keep coming back for more.
If you answer that phone call, it will be marked for more phone calls. If you talk on that phone call, you will be getting more.
Is that
just
right?
how it works.
Yeah. Wow. See, now I don't have a landline anymore. I use all cell phone. If I see a number that comes up that I don't identify, I just don't answer it. But there are a lot of people who do. And is that phishing? And once you pick it up, then they know there's somebody connected to that line and they're going to keep going?
Yeah, it seems basic. It's cold call sales. Same thing. If you're getting a little bit of traction on one number, then you're going to continue to call it.
Yeah.
If you don't get any, like if you ignore it, you won't receive them as much.
Oh, okay. Now, what about when they ask you to go to your bank and withdraw money?
It's always the same situation. Go to gift cards, sure. Now, the gift cards are easy because the scammer can stay on the phone. They can read out the number on the back, and then they can type it in their computer wherever they may be. Getting cash is a little more dangerous for those scammers because then they have to meet, and they do. They will meet you at your house and receive that cash that you went to get, and they will keep that facade the whole time.
Yeah. When in doubt, hang up.
Hang
When
up.
in doubt, call the state police.
Hang up or call the police, state police, local police. I would start it wherever your jurisdiction may be, local police. Yeah.
And usually in those particular areas, maybe the local authorities will put out a warning to the community. Say we have
Yes.
scammers in the area.
Yes.
Or anything else. There was, and Mark was talking about this before we went on the air, where now because gas prices are so high that there are scammers out there trying to, I don't know how they're working this out, but go and get gas or gas cards for them.
They just use whatever's the hot topic that caller that receives the call can attach to. They hear that and they think, oh, they already thought about this a lot today. They've been talking about with their coworkers. It's just something that they can connect with.
And how about if you're buying online? Because a lot of people are using these online purchases nowadays. How do you know when they're legit? Is there something that tells you in the email address or the business address on your computer that this is it's not a real site?
That's a little more difficult. That's something I probably couldn't answer outright. I wouldn't feel comfortable telling you outright.
Okay.
Now, online like emails they will send a link or something, and that's a little more difficult. You'd have to really explain it, situation. This email doesn't look for legitimate for this reason, this reason, this reason. Kind of tough to go over the air, but email does happen like that way too.
What about if you're shopping in a store? What if you're in a store, awareness of your surroundings and everything going on, not only for people wanting to steal a woman's purse, but also we hear a lot about human trafficking in our area. How serious is that nowadays?
So away from scams, you mean, right? Yeah, just general. Yeah. Yeah, those are legitimate concerns. There are hot spots for those. That's a difficult question to answer. It would just be keep an eye out, be aware. The state police release bulletins, and you will see news releases for certain things. Just being aware, things like this, hearing about it more. This is a real possibility. Not something to be frightened about, but it's a real possibility, and to keep yourself aware of these kind of things.
Because a lot of people are going to graduation parties, birthday parties, weddings this time of the year, and nowadays many people put money in a card and put it in the card box at the wedding or graduation party. And you wouldn't think it, but people close to you may have sticky fingers and pick those cards out of the box. Not much you can do about that when it's a close relative or friend, right?
Well, you say it's unfortunate that people close to you are, it seems like more often than not, it is the people that are close to you. Different families set up, I think if you get the idea of what your family is, then you'll be comfortable with it. But family members are prone to doing that sometimes.
Don't tell us that. We don't want to know that it's going to be, Aunt Peggy who's taking the cards out of the box, or Uncle Joe.
Who knows? Maybe she's got a scam to pay for.
Yeah, maybe she does. Oh boy, we hear about that in businesses too, where the trusted accountant or somebody else rips the company off for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
They're in the right place and they can get all that.
Yeah. Cybersecurity.
Sure.
Where are we with that, and how can we be more diligent about making sure that those things coming across on the computers, because we're all digitized nowadays? Cybersecurity. Does state police have something to do with that, or do you have information because of your work and being educated in these things?
Maybe not at the local level, like a patrolman, patrol trooper for us. We do see it. I can think of the unemployment scams where they're able to get Social Security numbers and apply for unemployment benefits. That was rampant there at about the back half of COVID there.
Right.
Report it to your police. It's a difficult matter. It's very hard to track digitally. We got to keep numbers and where these places are coming from.
We are talking with State Trooper Matthew Hosie, and when you're on the highway, the Trooper Hosie is out there in a lot of the communities, as state troopers are across the state. There's a lot of aggressive driving in our communities, on our highways, the Parkway and 376, people weaving in and out of traffic, people passing on the right. What can be done about that, and what are you guys watching when you're out there on the highway?
Awareness. There are a few sections that we do look for. Sections in the, our transportation code book violations. You're supposed to get out of the right lane, essentially. So think about I-376, 279, 2 or 3 lanes going north or south, one direction, essentially. You want to get over as far as practicable from these emergency response areas, a traffic stop, any emergency lights, construction zones, like you were saying earlier. We understand that it might always be practicable, but you have to make your effort. If there's no one else around you and you're not getting out of the right lane and the traffic stop is on the right-hand side or the construction zone's on the right-hand side, that's going to be a violation.
What about that moron who's staying in the left-hand lane, driving under the speed limit, and won't move over? Can you, if you're observing from the highway, can you look down and say, and pull them over and say, "What are you doing?"
Sure. Like with a lot of laws, it's not always black and white, but yes, you technically cannot hang around in the left lane. Some people call it the hammer lane, whatever it may be. You're supposed to stay in the right lane. We do understand, everybody understands, sometimes you cannot. Sometimes you're weaving back and forth and it might not be practicable to do so, to get back into the right lane, but generally speaking, it's section 3313, you have to stay in the right-hand lane unless passing.
Yeah, we're just about out of time.
Okay.
Trooper, you have one story that sticks out in your mind about somebody who tried to get out of a ticket?
Out of a ticket? Oh, a lot of people try to get out of the tickets. I don't have any one specific story that I'd like to get into, though, no.
We'll just have to wait for the book then.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'll plug that next time, huh?
Okay. State Trooper Matt Hosie, thank you for coming in with us today. It's an interesting job that you have, and thank you for keeping our community safe and our highways safe.
On behalf of the rest of us, I thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate that. State Trooper Matt Hosie. That's the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. I'm Mike Romigh. Thank you for watching and listening, and stay safe and be well until the next time we talk on the St. Barnabas Radio Network.
Thank you for listening to the Best of Beaver County. St. Barnabas is pleased to have provided content and sponsorship for the program. Tune in this Sunday at 11:30 for an encore presentation of today's program on Beaver County Radio. And next Thursday at 11 for another edition of the Best of Beaver County on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.